I want to talk about, something that happens quite oftentimes when you're dealing with someone, especially if they're toxic, all right? And things end. They don't allow them to end peacefully. They cause chaos and oftentimes try to tear you down, destroy you, hurt you, in that process of them discarding you. So this video is about when they thought they had when they discarded you at least, and they attempted everything possible to tear you down in that process upon their departure.
Welcome back to No Narc Network TV, Oshun Ajay exclusive, House of Ajay, and Unraveler TV on Bigo Live. I am the Oracle, Oshun Ajay. Whether you were ghosted, the narcissist created some fictional reason to abruptly end the relationship without a decent conversation, or whether you had to escape an abusive situation, the ending of any narcissistic relationship usually results in some form of emotional or psychological trauma to the other person in the relationship. Check it out.
They tried everything that they could do to make sure that you would never recover the same way after they left you. And I mean the same way before you were with them.
Before you were with them, you were probably happy, ambitious, optimistic, and full of life. But since you've been with them, you're probably suffering from one or more of the symptoms of complex post-traumatic stress disorder, especially if you're an empath.
Empaths have normally low thresholds for stimuli. This means that their bodies react in a more exaggerated way to certain scents, sounds, and even textures. When empaths undergoes narcissistic abuse, their mind unconsciously associates different things to the experience. This forms triggers that in turn make everyday life a lot more difficult for them. Triggers can be anything. It can be a perfume scent, the taste of lemon, the feel of silk, etc. When empaths encounter these triggers, not only do they remember and relive traumatic experience, but their bodies also seem to react to it. A reaction such as nausea, vomiting, palpitations, and others can be some of the telltale signs of someone suffering from CPTSD. Avoiding trigger places, people, or activities. Do you stay away from certain things? Narcissistic abuse is no walk in the park. But did you know that some empaths stay away from parks because they are reminded of their abuse? Parks, malls, grocery stores, and so on can become triggers of traumatic memories. Empaths who have associated their bad experiences with these places tend to avoid them altogether. But triggers are not limited to just places. They can be people or even activities. Empaths who suffer from CPTSD may choose to stay away from certain people who may remind them of their trauma, though they have not been involved in it. Some may avoid going to places or attending events because they consider them as triggers. This can become very inconvenient to them and would certainly impact their quality of life. Not allowing oneself to become vulnerable. Why have you been keeping to yourself lately? When narcissists choose their victims, they always try to isolate their pick from their friends and loved ones. Doing this makes their manipulations easier and the empath more vulnerable to their schemes. Narcissists isolate their victims by starting smear campaigns against the empath, which created rifts between them and their support, leaving the empath completely alone. So even when the empath has left the narcissist, they do not get to keep their dear friends. Empaths with CPTSD may simply decide to keep themselves isolated from others as a measure to protect themselves from any more pain. They just do not have the heart to trust people after what they have been through. Being unable to regulate emotions. Do you constantly snap at others? Having poor emotional control is one of the many noticeable signs of CPTSD in empaths. Then the epitome of emotional stability now seems so unbalanced that it takes a tiny push to get them over the edge. It is undeniable how damaging narcissistic abuse is to the empath who receives it. Empaths are conflict-avoiding people. They are peace lovers and peacemakers, always trying to stay away from negativity. Empaths love to keep harmony in every situation by making sure that arguments are resolved properly. However, after prolonged exposure to abuse, they seem to lose touch. Their patience starts to waver, and their temperament visibly changes, making them easily lose control over their emotions. Having an overwhelming preoccupation with their abuser. What occupies your thoughts most of the time? For empaths who have obtained CPTSD from narcissistic abuse, the answer will certainly be the narcissist and the trauma they have caused. Empaths tend to hyperfixated on certain things, even before they have experienced abuse. They love to ponder and reminisce, living in their own heads and keeping themselves occupied with various thoughts. When they have gone through abuse, however, these random thoughts all get pushed aside by the one central point that stands out: the narcissist and the trauma they caused them. Though this is understandable, this fixation is terribly unhealthy. Just like our physical bodies that flourish when fed good food, the mind also thrives on good thoughts. Being soaked in misery as they remember these painful experiences just worsens things. Feeling an unshakable sense of guilt and shame over what happened. Do you blame yourself for what happened? Narcissists are masters at making their victims believe that they were their own tormentors. They can twist facts and change stories, making them look like the good guys or the victims even. Narcissistic abuse is characterized by heavy gaslighting and lying. All these are done to manipulate the empath into quiet submission. When an empath is exposed to this enough times, they start to believe the lies they are told. Though deep down they know they are the victims, this twisted conditioning makes them think that they actually are the perpetrators of their own misery. Empaths in recovery should work their hardest to reverse this thinking and bring back their autonomy, believing themselves to be unworthy of happiness. What do you want out of life? After the storm that is the abusive relationship that empaths have gone through, they might feel like they have lost everything. Empaths may have lost opportunities, relationships, family, and material possessions to the narcissist. Because of this, it becomes easier to fall into the temptation to believe that they have nothing left, and therefore nothing to live for. Empaths may think that their terrible experience makes them too damaged to even expect happiness in life. They have absorbed the lies that the narcissist has been feeding them about themselves and their worth. Empaths on their way to recovery must remember that what they have gone through does not define them. Instead, these experiences are merely a blip in their story. They should let go of the erroneous thinking that the narcissist is their standard. Instead, empaths must set a standard for themselves and their happiness. Empaths who have acquired CPTSD may feel like it is the end of the line for them, but it never is. You have gone through hell and survived. Make sure that you fight hard and not leave your mind and heart there. Let that narcissist know that you may be bruised, but you are far from broken.
So if you were an outgoing person who was very magnetic with energy, and you had a lot of people who that you got a lot of praise and acknowledgement from, they try to destroy every bit of that when they make their exit.
One thing that a narcissist hates is a person that can survive on self-love and self-appreciation. Like, we literally cannot stand that, because at the core of narcissism, at the core of the personality disorder, is just the undying quest to be needed. So if a person doesn't need us, it really literally affects us mentally. Like, we want to be needed. So if you don't need us for love, for caring, for affection, and things like that, it literally drives a narcissist crazy. So when you boss up, it drives narcissists crazy. So that's why I always preach like self-love and self-appreciation and self-care, because the narcissist wants to be the source of all of that for you.
They want to leave rubble, right? Because they want to make sure that they don't ever have to question or have any regrets as to how they treated you or what they did to you once they leave somewhere. And if that so happened to go wrong on that other side where they believe the grass is greener, if that should happen to go wrong, they want to make sure that there's no regret from leaving the person who they were with, who they treated bad, who they manipulated, who they cheated on, and all these other things. They want to make sure that they never have a regret about that. So in many cases, they will try to destroy you, completely deplete you and diminish you to nothing, so that you'll never forget them. It'll be hard for you to ever get over them, and they believe that you'll never find anything better than them.
The narcissist wants to be the only source of love you have in your life, the only source of appreciation that you get in life, the only source of affection that you get in life. So that way, if we're the only source, we can limit it. We can limit how much we give you. We can breadcrumb you.
The narcissist that I was with hated the fact that I owned my own online shop and I made my own money. And so one day while I was not there, he hijacked my laptop and went into the back end of my online store and proceeded to begin deleting items. So he had already eliminated about 6 or 7 items out of the store when I'm sure I interrupted the process by coming home. When I checked into the store, once I had been home for about 30 minutes, I noticed those items were missing. And right away, I did not blame him. I didn't even suspect him. I blamed a stalker that I had at the time. I am a YouTuber, so it was, everyone that watches me on YouTube, they know that there is a person who has been stalking me for several years, and I assumed that this person had found some sort of way to hack into my computer. Later, I realized that it was actually him who had done it. He was the only one who actually had access to my computer. Later, I realized that he was jealous of me. Things, words that would come out of his own mouth were very telling of how he actually felt. And so one of the items that he had deleted out of my store was one of my biggest selling services, which was my live tarot readings. He had also deleted the video tarot readings. Okay, so when I lost those 2 items out of the store, I also lost hundreds of reviews on my work, which was his intention. So yes, I was able to go back in and recreate those items, but I was not able to salvage the reviews that were left under my work. So basically, he was trying to sabotage my business.
Malignant narcissists can be extremely harmful to an empath's emotional mental health and overall well-being. Empaths who were subjected to prolonged narcissistic abuse tend to develop CPTSD, or complex post-traumatic stress disorder. Here are some of the signs that you might have acquired. 10. Having terrifying dreams or flashbacks about the abuse. Do you suffer from recurring nightmares? One of the most common symptoms of CPTSD in empaths is recurring nightmares about their abuse or their abuser. These memories they try to bury deep within their minds seem to resurface at night and come back to haunt them. While this is already a huge problem in itself, these nightmares lead to sleep problems such as insomnia. In some cases, not only do these memories resurface during the night, but they also try to creep their way in during the day. Though the empath may be conscious during those times, they may still suffer from flashbacks caused by triggers.
Right? They tried everything that they could do to make sure that you would never recover the same way after they left you.
At the core of narcissism, at the core of the personality disorder, is the undying quest to be needed. So if a person doesn't need us, it like really literally affects us mentally. Like we want to be needed. So if you don't need us for love, for caring, for affection and things like that, it literally drives a narcissist crazy.
Having been in an abusive relationship with a narcissist is not an easy feat to get over. Empaths, with their intense emotional sensitivity, have understandably low pain tolerance. However, because of their inherent characteristics and unique gifts, they seem to be the most vulnerable to narcissistic abuse. It is cause for a big celebration when empaths finally get out of an abusive relationship with a narcissist. However, the suffering does not end there. Empaths can develop paranoia because of their previous abuse. Another classic CPTSD sign is when an empath can never seem to relax even during the good times. Because of their abuse, they have trained themselves to never become too complacent and always anticipate the other shoe to drop.
So if you were outgoing person who was very magnetic with energy, and you had a lot of people who that you got a lot of praise and acknowledgement from, they try to destroy every bit of that when they make their exit.
Narcissists continue to sabotage your life even after the relationship has ended, whether that's a divorce or you've ended a friendship or whatever type of relationship you have. These are situations that, as you know, unless you've gone through it, you don't understand. So you probably have people in your life who love you very much, I hope, and care about you, but just really can't understand, because these are not your normal people. This is not where, things just didn't work out and you part ways, or maybe it's hurtful and then you both move on. The narcissist does not move on, and you, even when it's over, they really become strangely obsessed with you, especially if you're the one who filed for divorce.
So when you boss up, it drives narcissists crazy.
There's a lot of documentation talking about the narcissistic injury. If you're the one that ended the relationship, you immediately become the enemy. And years and years and years later, they are obsessed with you and continue to try and sabotage you.
See, they thought they broke you. They thought they crushed you.
They'll use your kids. They'll try and use people in your life, trying to reach out to them and convince them of things. They really don't want you to be happy. They really don't want you to be strong. And interestingly enough, I find it's their worst nightmare to have you be strong.
The master key to getting over a narcissist is self-love and self-appreciation. And that is as simple as that, y'all. It really is as simple as that.
Self-love, self-care, and self-appreciation are essential on your own spiritual path. And these are the states of being that we are usually catapulted into unexpectedly by the very painful lessons that the narcissist came to teach. The narcissist came to show us that they are but a reflection of our own inner state of being, which is a lack of self-love. This realization is usually what inspires the inner child work and the shadow work that we embark upon in our healing journey. What does inner child work and shadow work look like, you ask?
The first thing you do on a path to healing is you have to forgive yourself. You just have to. You just have to. I know it's tough through this stuff, because when this stuff is running through your head, you have to learn how to forgive yourself. That's the first key to self-love, because like a lot of times you wonder how you let this happen. One of the things I see in my comment section so much is that people are always wondering, like they're embarrassed, they're ashamed of how they let this happen. They feel stupid. Because my skits and stuff like that, people are like, oh my goodness, this makes me feel so stupid. How can I let this go on for so long? How can I be so blind? First of all, you get blind. The closer you are to something, the harder it is to see. Here's an example of that right now. So when I get this close to the camera, you don't know, you see it, but like it's hard to see my body. It's hard to see my face. I'm right here. It's hard to see what they say. It's hard to see the entire picture when you are standing inside the frame. Everybody else can see it. Everybody else can see the full picture. They can see the framework. They can see the design. They can see what color paint to use. You are standing in the frame. You are part of the picture. You can only see what's right. You can only see what's right in front of you sometimes. You can't see what's to the left. You can't see what's to the right. You know, it's like the what you call it? Side view of the paint. I can't think of what it is. So it annoyed me. But yeah, you see how that works right there. You can't really see it. And a lot of people just say, I just feel so stupid for letting this go on so long. I feel dumb for forgiving this person so many times. I feel dumb for taking it back. I feel dumb for starting a family. I feel dumb for buying this car, this house, whatever you did together. You just feel dumb. You feel stupid. You feel embarrassed. Step one on the journey to self-love, because you can't love yourself if you keep beating yourself up. You can't love yourself if you're going to give yourself black eyes. Like, love, yeah. You can't love yourself by giving yourself a busted nose. Like, you know what? I love myself so much, I'm going to bust my nose. Bah! I love myself so much, I'm going to black both my eyes. Bah! Bah! You can't beat yourself up and love yourself. So you have to step through it. You have to step into yourself. You have to step into that love for yourself by forgiving yourself. You have to forgive yourself that this happened to you. Yeah, man, I'm not telling you, like, I know a lot of people say, you know, you forgive a narcissist. You can forgive them, but you don't have to reconcile with them. Thank you for that. I forgot who left that comment on my post. See, I've grown up. I was going to delete that comment when somebody's like, hey, Lee, forgiveness and reconciliation are totally different. I was going to delete it because I was mad and embarrassed, but I kept it on there. That's growth right there. I appreciate that comment. Because you can forgive people, but you don't have to reconcile with them. You can forgive the person who hurt you, but you don't have to reconcile with them. That forgiveness is key to God. Is you know, next to godliness of whatever people were saying. But as you can see, you have to forgive yourself. People are so quick to forgive other people, but it's so very, very slow and very slow and unintentional with forgiving themselves. You have to be able to forgive yourself. Allow yourself to, like, okay, I apologize to myself. I mean, I'm sorry for myself for letting this happen to myself. And I'm not saying take blame for everything that happened to you, but you have to forgive yourself to move through this situation, to get past it.
And doing really well. And the more you succeed and the more happy you become, the more angry they become. So you're doing your own healing, you're taking care of your kids, you're getting stronger, trying to get stronger, you're trying to move on, you're building your life. A lot of you may not have built a career because you've put all into this relationship for so long, and so you're starting new and you're trying to figure out who you even are because you've just lost yourself, you know, after so many years of putting your attention on someone else. And then so that's difficult enough. And then to have someone who you thought loved you and now you're waking up to the fact that they actually really didn't.
They thought they broke you down to where you would never, to where when they did show up, you would be begging them for a second chance. They thought you would be begging them.
Constantly coming at you, whether it's directly or through other people or through your children. They really don't want you to do well.
They thought that they could do you all of this wrong and then go on a hiatus, go missing, set something else up, fail at that, and then come back to you, and you would be so excited and just grateful for them coming back into your life and trying to work things over again because you couldn't stand the pain and you didn't like the way it ended, and if only we could make it work a different way than it ended. If only we can have a do-over, maybe we can get it right this time.
9 times out of 10, if the empath had listened to their own intuition, there wouldn't be a this time. There wouldn't even have been a first time.
Empaths are masters of intuition. They have almost supernatural abilities to discern all kinds of things. This talent of theirs can be truly useful in many areas of life. In fact, most empaths just automatically trust their gut for most of their life choices. However, this intuition is far from infallible. Being stuck in an abusive relationship with a narcissist is certainly a testament to its fallibility. When empaths experience narcissistic abuse, intuition comes in very handy. Whether consciously or not, They use this to anticipate the narcissist's moods and behavior. Nothing is ever clear with a narcissist, so the empath is forced to improvise and take note of every little detail. Being nervous and jumpy is just a side effect of magnifying every little detail to avoid conflict with the narcissist.
Maybe we can get it right this time. And oh my God, you're back. You're right here. Okay, I'll listen this time. All the things you said about me that wasn't right, I'll work on that. Cause I didn't like not being without you like that. I didn't like that you went away and I didn't have you laying in my bed and embracing me at night or cuddling at night. I missed that.
If you've ever played yourself in your attempts to please a narcissist,
Forgive yourself to move through this situation, to get past it. Because a lot of people start blaming themselves for going through this. You start blaming yourself for allowing this relationship to last 10 years when it should have lasted 5 months. You forgive yourself for allowing your kids to stay in this situation when you should have took them and left. You know what I mean? We should have fought harder for custody. When you should have did this. Forgive yourself and start walking your truth and take your power back, because self-love is the first way. You have to forgive yourself is the key to self-love. You have to forgive yourself on that pathway to self-love and the self-journey right there. You have to. Narcissists hate that.
The abuse, the way that they go out, is designed to crush you, to deplete your self-esteem so much that you can't do anything but think on them and hope and wish for an amendment.
If you're loving yourself, there's nothing they can do to you. Of course, they can get physically violent, because people get physically violent when they realize their words are not affecting you as much. And they realize that you don't, when we realize that you don't need validation from us, you're no longer seeking validation from narcissists, it irritates us. It really gets on our nerves. When you dress up, like when you used to get dressed up really, really nice and ask the narcissistic person how you look, how do I look? How does suit look on me? You okay? That's cool. You look fine. But now you get dressed up, you know you look good, you know you look fine, suit tailored to the gods, suit tailored to the Lord. You don't need them for approval. You know you look good. You walk right past them. And that irritates the narcissist's soul, because you're taking your power back. Self-love, self-appreciation. Appreciate yourself. Know you that you look good. Don't need them to tell you that you look good. You don't need that. You want it. You don't need it.
When that happens, and you look at them like, what are you doing around here? And why are you here? Because ain't nothing here for you. When you cold on them like that, when you're cold like that and you give no care, and they look back and they don't see you broken, struggling, oh man, that tears them up.
at the end of the day, whether you've already escaped or whether you're planning your escape, the key to unlock the door to your freedom is your own self-love, self-appreciation, and self-care.
You have to, if you're gonna stay, you gotta love yourself more and appreciate yourself more and validate yourself more. If you're gonna leave, same thing. Point blank, period. And narcissists hate it either way. If you love yourself and leave, and they can't coerce you by begging, pleading, threatening to unalive themselves, guilt tripping you into coming back because you don't need that validation, you don't need that love. You never loved me. You never loved me. Prove it. If you ever loved me, you can prove it to me, girl. Prove it to me by talking to me, please. No. Self-love, self-validation is the key to getting over these toxic narcissistic relationships. And once you love yourself more, there's nothing, they can't take anything from you. Once you don't seek out validation from them, they can't do anything from you.
That tears them up. Because they just knew they had you all in the bag. They had you all figured out. Oh, I done broke them down so cold, man. They ain't gonna never move on from me. They ain't gonna never be able to find nobody like me the way I did them. And be stuck on me for years. And that's why, and let me tell y'all, I see a lot of y'all, we gotta be real about it. That actually does work on those tactics that they do leave you broken to the point where you go to changing yourself up so much because of what this one individual has done. You go to changing all kind of aspects about yourself up in so many ways till you're not even who you are anymore. You know what you just done? You just handed them a victory
And that is what we're not going to do, okay?
over you. You start going and doing things different. You're paranoid about everything off of one person, off of one individual. You just gave them the victory.
If in fact you did give them the victory, I'm gonna have to ask you to go take that back.
You're basically giving a constant reminder that this person made me like this. I'm this way because this person did this to me.
Don't you dare go out like that.
I'm this way because this person has, you know, damaged me in such a way that I can't move on from them. You're basically in so many ways saying you cannot move on from what this person has done to you.
In other words, you've become a professional victim.
And if you act in that accordance, in that way with what happened to you, and you start changing yourself up that way permanently, you are permanently attaching them to your life. So they are essentially still in control over you.
So what empaths need to understand is that whether we choose to actively participate or not, we are at war. The super empath, the supernova empath, or the Heyoka empath. You are the warrior empaths, the NarcSlayers, and you already know inherently that you were born for this time. Salute.
So, if you're ready to hear how to destroy a narcissist with your empathetic powers, let's get started. Number 1, their intuition can detect manipulations. Empaths are very underestimated, especially super empaths. Their good-natured personalities and tendency to be over-trusting can make them seem naive, gullible, or incapable of standing up for themselves. It's true, empaths can be naive and fall for lies because they see the best in everyone. This might get them into a tricky situation with a narcissist because their guards were down at the beginning. However, unlike people with lower empathy, they're more intuitive and can see patterns developing much faster before they're in too deep. Super empaths can feel emotions and detect motives quickly, so the moment an empath feels maliciousness, especially when it's so far off from their own natural state, they know something is wrong. Normally, a narcissist can't keep their masks on for an extended period of time and try to leave their partners dependent on them quickly. But the empath isn't nearly as gullible as you might think. It might take them a while to realize the narcissist is lying to make you swoon over them. But as soon as their mask begins to slip, the empath catches on. Number 2, they often have a core identity and high levels of self-worth. Super empaths have high levels of self-esteem, self-worth, and a strong sense of identity. If you've ever wondered why having a good sense of self is important, because it is a bit of an abstract concept, here's a perfect example. Gaslighting is a common manipulation tactic used by narcissists. The term is derived from the 1944 film titled Gaslighting and surrounds itself around a married couple. Slowly, the wife starts believing she's insane and loses sight of who she is. Meanwhile, the husband is repeatedly dimming the gas lanterns and telling his wife she's hallucinating when she comments on the changing lights. Eventually, she's driven into insanity. So, how could a strong sense of identity have helped the wife in the classic movie? Well, if she had high self-esteem and knew exactly who she was, do you think she would have believed she was hallucinating? She probably would have looked back on her life and thought of all the times she hallucinated, noticing it was 0, and told her husband to fix the lights because he's the crazy one for not noticing. A super empath with high self-esteem knows their worth and doesn't forget who they are, even when someone is telling them they're wrong or crazy. Instead, they might drive the narcissist crazy, sometimes making them a conquest. Their empathy makes them perfect for giving the attention they crave, and their self-esteem makes them both attractive, envious, and unattainable. If you like what you're hearing and want more free psychological content, click the subscribe button for updates on our new videos. Number 3, empaths listen carefully and remember the small details. Narcissists are, well, narcissistic. They tend to think they're the smartest people in the room and the only ones incapable of preserving information. It's true, the average person isn't always listening to the important details. The thing with narcissists is that they often don't remember or care to listen to the good details about you. If you bring up positive accomplishments, they'll either ignore them or quickly devalue them, often even pushing them out of their memory. Instead, they keep a mental database of everything less than perfect you've ever done. A super empath, in contrast, genuinely cares. When a narcissist is being vulnerable, even if their stories are twisted with lies, an empath listens. And they remember everything, the good and the bad. Sure, a narcissist might use your flaws and mistakes against you to emotionally blackmail you, but they will forget the small important details, like incorrect names or other facts, due to not listening, which can ruin their credibility. In contrast, an empath will remember everything the narcissist ever told them. They will know exactly what to say to turn the tables back on the narcissist and retain control of the situation by humiliating them. Humiliation is a narcissist's biggest weakness. Super empaths don't revel in humiliating people or inflicting pain, but they'll do whatever is necessary. Number 4. Empaths have cognitive and affective empathy. Unlike narcissists, who have major impairments in their affective empathy but can still manage some cognitive empathy, their counterparts have both. Super empaths can use their previous experiences with them where they sensed true vulnerability to their advantage. Along with that, they can also feel when their emotions begin to move from cool and collected and when they are about to crack with rage or shame. Although it's rare for an empath, let alone a super empath, to use their empathy manipulatively, it's the only thing that really stumps a narcissist, because it's one thing they'll always lack. Number 5, super empaths are unsuspecting. Like we already mentioned, empaths and super empaths give off a naive innocence that makes them appear as if they'll be easy prey for the narcissist. It's likely the narcissist walks into the relationship assuming they will be the one to destroy the empath, regardless of if it's deserved. However, empaths don't like to be wronged by others. They're kind, nurturing, and forgiving until someone crosses them.
The super empath is not satisfied until the cosmic scales have been balanced, and we do not mind mirroring the narcissist's behavior back to them.
Then, they're unafraid to make sure some justice is made, usually by acting in the same manner as they did. After all, they learned from the best. Super empaths are honest and frank. They don't like to beat around the bush and won't play the games the narcissist wants to play. When the narcissist threatens to ruin the empath's reputation by sharing secrets to keep them dependent, the super empath will share their secrets first. Although empaths feel shame and guilt, they will take the narcissist's power away at every opportunity, and that will destroy the narcissist. And that's a wrap. What did you think of this list? Do you think a super empath is able to destroy a narcissist?
Absolutely.
And when you rise up and they see you don't give a damn about them and what they're doing, and you're happy, you're living your life, they didn't break you, they don't have you, meek and weak and outside of your character. Because even if they see you being something that you weren't before you met them, guess what they know? I did that to you. I made them like that. You see the reason why they're like that? I did that to them. That's why they act like that now. That's a trophy to them. That's a trophy. When you go to acting in a way and moving in ways now, that's still a victory. That's a trophy to them. I did that to them. You see why they that way now to this day? I did that to them.
So instead of going out like that, how about we go out like this?
We're going to go through the traits of a super empath and how to turn your empathy into your own superpower. Traits of a super empath. They're sensitive to their surroundings, attuned to other people's moods, introverted, intuitive, easily overwhelmed or taken advantage of in intimate relationships or friendships, difficulty not caring about others for unselfish reasons, strong core identity, honest and frank. Although it might seem as though all empaths are naive and easily manipulated, the super empath doesn't stand for it. Their honesty and frankness and self-love stumps the narcissist when their harsh, cold insults used to devalue them don't work. Super empaths have a strong enough self-image to use their empathic powers to defeat even the most cunning and calculated narcissists. Narcissists might be masters at reeling in the good-hearted, trusting, and caring empaths, But if they mess with the wrong empath, whose traits are stronger than others and know who they are underneath the manipulative lies, they can make any narcissist crumble.
He is the one.
Once the super empath embodies their true power, game over. Once you've learned to recognize the narc demon, you know all of his moves ahead of time, making it easy to defeat them. The devil's greatest fear is that the super empaths will wake up and reclaim your power.
And that's a wrap.